Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Revolution Mindset Session 9. We're going to be looking at understanding ourselves in a little bit more detail. So, the past 4 sessions, we have explored relationships, communication, how we can start to build the relationships with those around us, whether it's friends, family, partners, work colleagues, whoever it is, we have focused on building relationships throughout February. Now that we've moved into March, we are moving on to confidence and looking at how we can start to build our confidence in our day-to-day lives, whether that's with our ability, what we do, our work, or just in general. And we're going to start by simplifying confidence today and looking at how it all starts by understanding ourselves. And there's some key points we're going to be covering today as we go through this. If you're tuned in, please say hi, let me know you're here. And as always, let me know your wins over the past week. What is it that you have achieved over the past week that you want to celebrate today so we can keep that momentum going and we can really keep the energy flowing so we can succeed over these next 52 weeks. So I can see Adele's tuned in. Thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to see you here. Anya, thank you so much for taking the time out to be here again. It's wonderful to see you. Brenda Lees, it's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much. And I'd really appreciate if you could share some small wins that you have achieved over the past week so we can share and celebrate it today. And whilst I'm waiting for you guys to share that, I'm going to look at and tell you what is covered in today's session. So the first thing we're going to look at is how confidence is subjective. So one thing I just want to note, today is going to be a bit interactive. So there's a few questions that I've got to ask you guys. So I'd really appreciate your input as we go through these slides. The second thing we're going to look at is understanding ourselves and how that builds confidence. Then we're going to look at 3 simple areas of confidence. And then from there, we're going to go through some exercises and start to build on this in the practical workshop, which is at 6 p.m. UK in 28 minutes time. So as I mentioned, we've covered a lot over the past 4 weeks about relationships, communication. We talked about speaking the language of love, how to bridge the gap of communication, how to start to understand our behavior types and how our behavior impacts other people. And the key lesson from that lesson, which we looked at last week, was when we begin to understand our own behavior and that of others, we can consciously choose to adapt it for better communication. So that was the key point from last week. So I'm just going to come, let's see if there's any wins being shared so we can celebrate these today. So Adela said, I had more focus enrolled in a free course that will add value to coaching. That's absolutely wonderful. It'd be interesting to hear more about that coach. That course. So celebrating conflict, you're enrolled in another course, which is wonderful. And feel free to share today, or we can have a conversation offline, Adele, a little bit more about what that course is and how that's going to help your coaching. Now, I think a big win for me today, so I'm going to share one of my wins while I'm waiting for you guys to share through, is I am seriously ill, but I'm turning up today. I am showing up and I am here presenting to you. And I don't really pay attention to that a lot, but it's important for us to show up even when we're not feeling 100%. That's how we keep the consistency. That's how we keep things moving forward. Brenda Lees is saying, successfully put the house in the market, and we have already 22 showings scheduled. That's absolutely wonderful. And I'm sure you're looking forward to your move. It's starting to build that excitement. So let's celebrate that with you, Brenda Lees. It's exciting. 22 showings scheduled already. That's wonderful. That means you're going to get a lot of offers on your house sale, and it's looking bright and beautiful for you and your family. So really great work. So if you do want to share, feel free to share your wins and we'll bring them in. I'm going to come back to the comments in a second. But let's start today's session. So first of all, I got a couple. I want to open up with a quote from the Dalai Lama that says, with realization of one's own potential and self-confidence in one's ability, one can build a better world. So with realization of one's own potential and self-confidence in one's ability, one can build a better world. And we all want to be here, we're all here in Coaching Minds, we're all here on my personal profile. A lot of us want to make a positive impact to the world, but in order to do that, we really need to build our self-confidence. We need to start to work towards realization and understanding our own potential. So I feel like this quote was very fitting for today's session when we start to explore the basics of confidence and how we can start to understand ourselves a little bit more. So with the realization of one's own potential and self-confidence in one's ability, one can build a better world. I've seen Anya's put in her win for this week. So she's moved the house booked all the tickets. That's the big one for me, as I always procrastinate on it, hoping I will find something better. And kids did their 9th exam, only one more to go. That's wonderful. That's a lot of great achievements there. And you moved the house, you booked the tickets, and your kids have only got one more exam to go. So I hope it all went well. 9th exam, so let's celebrate that with a little bit of confetti. That's absolutely wonderful. And if you're watching on the replay, please drop your wins in the comments box below. Every week we want to keep this momentum going, this energy going, that we are making progress and we're succeeding towards our goals. So please drop them in the comments box. So a couple of questions. We're going to play a little game. We're going to play confident or not. And what I'd like you to do is drop confident or not in the comments box below. So on the screen, you can see Lionel Messi. So I'm sure everybody knows who Lionel Messi is. If you don't, he's an international Argentinian footballer. He's been rated as probably the best player of all time, depending on people's opinions and views. So I'd just like you to drop below whether you think Lionel Messi is confident or not. Little game we're going to play. So Dell is saying it literally came up in my email 1 hour back. It's through the SAS school. I did my original certification. This is a business in a box, includes coaching tools and programs. That sounds really wonderful. Lots of good stuff to get your teeth into there and to learn more. And you're saying 100% excellent. And thank you, Adele. Hope you get well soon. So do I. Thank you so much, Adele. But I'm going to continue to show. We've got a lot on our Coaching Minds. A busy week, and we need to do some catching up to do. So I'm here. So Lionel Messi, confident or not? Let me know in the comments box. Simple. Or you can just write yes or no if it's quicker. I know there's a bit of a lag on the comments, but I want to get your thoughts and opinions on whether you think Lionel Messi is confident. Let me know. Yes or no? Adele says no. Why do you not think he is confident? He's just won the World Cup with his team. He's top of in the French league with PSG. Why do you say no? Anybody else? Yes or no? Anybody think yes? So the reason behind this game. So if we keep the comments flowing, we'll move through. Anya says, I have no idea about Messi, but I would assume he is confident. Okay, excellent. So Anya said that assumes he's confident. So let's take a look at the next person. So we're going to go through a few people. Okay, Tony Robbins. So for those of you, I'm sure you know who Tony Robbins is if you're tuned in, especially if you're from Coaching Minds. But if you don't know who Tony Robbins is, he is probably the biggest and most successful motivational speaker in the world right now. He does a lot of online and offline events. He's got a number of books, and he really helps people find their passion and helps them find the power within to really change their lives and succeed at what they're trying to accomplish. So do we think Tony Robbins is confident or not? Just put a yes or no. Tony Robbins, yes or no, so we can have a bit of a thought and see what your opinions are. And if you're watching on the replay, then please drop it in the comments box below. I'd love to see and hear if you think that they're confident. So we've got Anya saying overconfident. We've got Adele saying overconfident. That's absolutely wonderful. There's some thoughts there. So thoughts on that, he's overconfident. So he's got a lot of confidence. There's a lot of things, and it really helps. Adele saying agree with you, Anya. I think you both put it there at the same time. So that's quite interesting to see. So next one. So Lionel Messi, Tony Robbins. Next one we have is Denzel Washington. So I'm sure you know who Denzel Washington is. I'm sure you've seen some of his movies. He's a famous actor. He also does some motivational speeches as well, and really turns up to deliver more than just what he does. He likes to share his story on how he succeeded as well. So Denzel Washington, confident or not confident? And as I mentioned, there's a purpose and a reason behind this exercise. Confident or not confident, Denzel Washington. Anya saying confident, Adele saying confident. Wonderful, that's good stuff. Thank you for sharing this. Next one. So we've got Lionel Messi, we've got Tony Robbins, we've got Denzel Washington. Next one is Rihanna. So that's not a good picture. It's when it's expanded, it's a bit blurry, but that is Rihanna. I'm sure we know who Rihanna is. She is a famous singer. She's had a number of number ones across the world, across the globe, platinum records, things like that. She was really big in the 2000s, early 2000s, going into the 2010s, and she still has a few songs and stuff around now. So I'm sure we know who she is. Is she confident or not confident? Adele is going back to Messi. Messi's a good player, but I feel like he is confident in everyday life. I don't feel he's confident in everyday life. And that's an interesting point and something that we can bring into discussion, and something I want to talk about when we go into the practical workshop as well is does confidence in different, do we have different areas of life that we are confident in? Can we be more confident in some things than others? Or how do we measure our confidence? That's one of the questions we're really going to talk about. And he says, I have no idea. Lots of people play for the public. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. So do we think Rihanna is confident or unconfident? Adele is saying maybe. So a lot of people sitting on the fence. And finally, the last one. Let's see what people think on this. The famous and notorious Boris Johnson. If you don't know who Boris Johnson is, he was the former UK Prime Minister through, I think, 2022 through to 2022. I think he was in just for 2 years. It might have been a little bit earlier, but recent Prime Minister before our last one, Liz Truss, and the current one, Rishi Sunak. So he was during COVID and the pandemic, that's the time in which he was our Prime Minister. Do we think he's confident or not? Facebook's tuning in. If you're watching through Facebook, please don't forget to accept the StreamYard permissions above. You only have to do this once, and then every time you tune in live, it will show your name and your profile photo. But it's wonderful to see you here, whoever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. And the Facebook user saying, no, he's not confident. Adele saying he's confident but a bit arrogant. Annie is saying, oh, you made me laugh. He isn't overconfident. Yeah, so lots of stuff coming through. If anybody who hasn't checked it out, please go and see his Peppa Pig talk. I don't know if anybody heard of it, but basically he was there to deliver an important speech to an audience. I can't remember the audience, don't quote me on this. But the speeches got mixed up. So whoever was the admin or who was responsible for giving the speeches got a bit mixed up. So on the cuff and to improvise, he started talking about Peppa Pig World and how that related to business. So I can relate with people thinking that he's overconfident, a bit arrogant, and that he's not confident. So some interesting thoughts. Now, before I share the next slide, I want to ask you guys the question: what do you think the purpose in this exercise is? Why am I here showing you pictures of random celebrities of people that we know and asking whether you think they're confident or not? There's a really important point behind this, that when we start to think about confidence, we really need to understand. If we want to build our confidence, we want to become more confident in all areas of our life, in our day-to-day lives, there's an important point that we can take away from this exercise. What do we think that is before I share? Let me know. Brendan Lee is saying perception is interpretation. You're on the right lines, and that is a really good point as well. So while you're thinking about that, before I go into the next one, so a Facebook user is saying it's from Southampton, Sheila Manhanger. Thank you so much for being here, Sheila. Really wonderful to see you tuned in. Thank you so much. And you're saying to see if we can see confidence in people without knowing them. That is a good way. That's a good exercise to look at that. And that's leading on to something a bit more. So let's say I had pictures of all you guys. So let's say I had a picture of Brenda Lee's, picture of Sheila. I had a picture of Adele, picture of myself, picture of Anya. And I was asking you the same questions. Or asking the audience the same questions. Is this person confident or not? How would you feel about that? So let's say I swap Boris Johnson for myself. I swap Rihanna for Anya. I swap Lionel Messi for Brenda Lee's. I swap Denzel Washington for Adele. Brenda Lee's saying we use our own life experience to determine what others are. We do that as well. But something a little bit more simplified. I really want to simplify this for us today. That's a really good point. So I want to go on to the 3 points today. And the first one is, that confidence is a game. So first quote is, confidence is a game of understanding. The more we know who we truly are, the more confident we become. So I'm going to skip that and come back to that in a second. But the important points, where have we gone? Let me see here. Okay, there's a few slides missing. Okay, so sorry, just skipping through my slides here. I've accidentally deleted a slide. But I'm going to go back to the important 3 points, and I'm just going to leave you on the face of Boris Johnson before I move on. So the first important point that I had on the slide that I've accidentally deleted is that confidence is subjective. What I mean by that is, although other people might say that person is confident, you might think or perceive this Boris Johnson is confident, or Denzel Washington is confident, or Lionel Messi. Only the person that is, only ourselves can determine our confidence. So confidence cannot be determined by somebody else. We cannot say that Boris Johnson is confident. Only he can feel and think whether or not he is confident. So the first important point is that confidence is subjective. Only we ourselves can determine whether or not we are confident. So a few people came through here and said, I don't know Boris Johnson, I don't know him in person, I don't know this, a few hums and haws that were in here. That's really great thinking, because we cannot determine whether or not somebody else is confident. And equally, they cannot determine whether or not we are confident. So Brenda Lees, Anya, Adele, Sheila, everybody who's tuned in, watching the replay, you can't tell me, or you might have your perspective and opinion, but you can't tell me whether I'm confident or not. And equally, I can't tell you whether you're confident or not. The second important point that I had on the slide was that confidence is a feeling that is shaped by our thoughts. So confidence is a feeling that is shaped by our thinking. But because we can change our thinking, we can change how we feel about ourselves, and we can build up our confidence. That's the second thing. And the third important point that I had on this slide was that in order to start to really build our confidence, we need to stop giving a shit, or stop caring about what other people think. Because other people will walk around like we've done today. I've asked you the question, is he confident or not? And the 5 people that come or not. People will try and determine whether we're confident. People will try and knock our confidence. They'll share unwanted opinions. They'll share unwanted comments towards us. But it is us who fundamentally decide whether or not we are confident. So we need to stop caring about what other people think and what other people say about us in order for us to start to build our confidence. So I'm just going to, move on to the next point. So any questions on that? I apologize that this slide has been removed. Any questions, please drop it in the comments box below. But the whole purpose of that exercise was to understand that we can sit there, we can say Boris Johnson, Lionel Messi, Denzel Washington, we can say that they're confident or not, but fundamentally that rests with them, and equally it rests with us. And if we stop caring what other people think, stop letting other people decide our levels of confidence or affecting our confidence, then we can really start to take off and build our confidence. Again, leaves me on to the next part of the session. We call it confidence is a game of understanding. The more we know who we truly are, the more confident we become. So before we look at comfort zones, before we look at fighting the fear of rejections, before we start to look at other fears, things that are affecting our confidence, first of all, we need to really understand the point that confidence is a game of understanding. The more we understand about ourselves, the more confident we become. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an example. So the question for you guys today is, if I was to ask you to present live a presentation on astrophysics, how confident would you feel about it? How confident would you feel going live and presenting on astrophysics? Put me a comment in the comments box. And if we have an astrophysician in, that's fantastic, and you're feeling confident, that's really wonderful. But just in general, how would you feel? Again, this is to emphasize the point that confidence is a game of understanding. So how many of you would feel confident? So I'm going to wait for the comments to come through, but I can imagine that none of us would feel, unless we're an astrophysician, would feel confident to step forth and present on astrophysics. However, if I was to ask you the second one, to present live about the best place you visited in the world, in your hometown, in your home country, wherever it is, how confident would you feel to present that information about your favorite place that you visited? So Adele's saying, not at all, not my area, overwhelmed. Yep, that can happen as well. You can feel overwhelmed at that. And you're saying not confident at all. Okay, but the second question, if I was to ask you to present live about the best place you visited, how confident would you feel? Now, I'm guessing, stepping aside from presenting to a large audience, say you're presenting to 100, that brings in fears, which we're not going to cover today. But I'm guessing that a lot of us would feel a lot more confident presenting about the best place we have visited than we would do a presentation on astrophysics. Which then leads me on to the third question, which is, why do we feel more confident about the second option? Why would we feel more confident about presenting our favorite place where we visited? And Anya's saying here, Adele's saying confident, Anya's saying easy, very confident. Why do we feel more confident with that than we would presenting on astrophysics? We're simplifying confidence today to the easiest and simplest levels before we explore deeper in our workshop. What do we think? Or do you feel more confident about the second option? Let me know your thoughts. So the reason is understanding. We understand a lot more about our favorite place. We understand the feelings that it invoked in us. We understand where we went. We have the information. We have the memories. We understand it a lot more. So we're more confident to speak on that subject or to present on that subject. Many of us don't know anything about astrophysics. We don't have any understanding of how it works, what it is, where to start, where to go. So we don't feel confident. We don't want to step forward and present on astrophysics. So this emphasizes the point that confidence is all about understanding. And the more we understand ourselves, the more confident we become. So how do we start to understand ourselves? So 3 more points on confidence here. So we are more confident about what we know and what we understand. The more we understand about ourselves, the more confident we become. And the third point that I really want to get across today, because I think this is so important, especially for anybody who's on a journey of self-growth, who's on the path of personal development, or maybe on a spiritual path right now, that honest and truthful self-discovery paired with our true authenticity will help amplify confidence in all areas of our life. So I'm going to say that again. Honest and truthful self-discovery. Note the words honest and truthful. A lot of people, when they're on a personal journey, can put things aside, cannot be honest with themselves, cannot be truthful with themselves, which means you're not actually discovering anything but more dishonest information. So that self-discovery, that journey, you need to be honest and truthful with yourself. And if you pair that with your true authenticity, who you are at your core, this will really help amplify confidence in all areas of our life. And this is why personal development really helps build your confidence, because it allows us to understand more about who we are. It allows us to understand more about what really we are passionate about, what our purpose is, what we want to achieve. It allows us to understand how we like to behave, what we like and don't like. And the more we understand this, the more we find our roots of authenticity, the more confident we become. I really think that when we go through life being truthful, whether the truth hurts or not, we become more confident. And if we're lying to people, if we're walking around, we've got a number of lies in our minds, we're not going to feel confident because we're not being truthful to ourselves and those around us. So honest and truthful self-discovery paired with our true authenticity will help amplify confidence in all areas of life. So no matter what it is you're trying to achieve, no matter what it is you want to build confidence in, whether it's a project, whether it's a business, whether it's just yourself in general, you need to have that self-discovery and you need to be honest with yourself and you need to find your true authentic self. Because when you find who you are, when you understand who you are, you can really step forward. You can work with that ego and you can really step forward and make a difference and be confident. And that can also help us stop understanding what other people think as well. So, and you're saying because we are expert on the subject, we feel confident. Exactly. We have experts, we have the knowledge, we have the understanding. So if we want to become confident in a certain area, we need to understand what it is that area is. And the more we understand it, the more confident we become. So it does seem because we have the knowledge, expertise, and experience. Exactly. That all helps in building that confidence. So when it comes to our general confidence of ourselves, we need to build the knowledge of who we are, the expertise of who we are, and start to get experience of who we are as well. And this will apply in all areas of our life. So this week's challenge is to go out and learn something new about yourself. And I put on a few examples here. So if you don't know your passion, go and do some exercises, go and get in touch with a coach, sit down, think, reflect, work out what it is you're passionate about. Then it will lead to your purpose. Find out what your purpose is in life. If you know what these are, fantastic. You should feel confident towards your purpose and your passion. If you don't, then take the time to reflect and understand why you are not confident towards what you're passionate about and your purpose. The third thing is values. Values are so important. If we don't understand our values, this can negatively impact our confidence. So if you don't know what your core values are, again, contact a coach, find an exercise, go and explore, reflect, understand what your values are. Another example there is behavior styles. But just go out and learn something new about yourself. Read a personal development book, listen to a podcast, learn something, find those questions that are going to help you get some kind of self-discovery that is going to help you learn something new about yourself. So that is this week's challenge, because the more we learn about ourselves, the more we understand about ourselves, the more confident that we become. become. And finally, I said I was going to cover the areas of confidence. So there's three things that as humans, we really care about, we really want to have confidence in if we want to achieve. And that is ability. So our ability, understanding and unlocking our potential. So the more we understand about how skillful we are, the ability we have, the potential we have to achieve things, the more we can succeed. Our appearance, a lot of us need to learn how to become comfortable with how we look and how we feel about ourselves. And it's just a case of this is where your exercise comes in, your healthy eating, those good habits to help you become healthy, helps you feel better about yourself. And the more you feel better about yourself, the more you feel better about how you look. And then the third area is attributes. So understanding the value that we provide. We want to build confidence in the value that we give to society, that we give to our family, that we give to our partners, that we give to our friends, that we give to the wider world. The more we understand the value that we have to offer, the more confident we become. So when we look at our ability, our attributes, and our appearance, and our appearance is not just physical appearance, but how we come across and how we represent ourselves to other people, that can really help build our confidence. So we were to strip the three most important areas that we care about in terms of confidence. It's these three. And if we start to understand a little bit more and go deeper into these three, we can become more confident as individuals. And that is today's nutshell. Like I said, we're not going to go deep into other areas. We've got 4 sessions on confidence. I just want to start off with some basic thoughts, different perspective maybe for you to think about confidence. Key points being that confidence is subjective. Only we can determine how confident we are, and only other people can determine how confident they are. And we need to remove those assumptions. We need to remove those judgments because people might put on a mask, people might be confident, but inside they could be suffering a lot. Sometimes we have a way we can just put everything aside. We can put how we really feel inside, put a mask on, step forward and present, but deep down that person could be suffering a lot. So we need to remove those assumptions, those judgments, understand that confidence is subjective. And because confidence is subjective, only we can determine it, we need to stop caring about what other people think. And the other key point from today is that the more we understand about ourselves, the more confident we become. So we need to really start to think about the areas that we're not feeling so confident in and how we can understand a bit more about ourselves in that area to build up that confidence. And that's how we can really start to simplify and start to build confidence in the different areas of things that we want to become confident in. So, for example, we've got a few coaches coached in. If you're not feeling so confident about your coaching right now, what is it that's not helping you? What is it that you need to understand a little bit more in order for you to become more confident? Do you need to practice a little bit more? Do you need to get more tools under your belt? Do you need to do a little bit of something else? What is it that you need to understand and helping you to build that confidence in your business? But that's just an example. It could be used in any area or anything that you want to build confidence in. The key point is the more we understand, the more confident we become. And finally, we're going to move into the workshop in 2 minutes' time. We're going to start to put this into practice. So we're going to start with the mindfulness exercise as always. Then we're going to have a bit of a discussion on how do we measure confidence. I'm going to be really interested to hear how you guys measure confidence in everything that you're doing. We're going to look at values as a starting point. We're not going to go into an exercise. We're just going to talk about the importance of values with coaching. We're going to look at the concept of resistance versus assistance. And how we can change resistance into assistance to help us build confidence. And then we're going to do a little exercise that's going to help us learn a little bit more about our. We're going to take on the weekly task. This exercise will be really great for you to learn a little bit more about you. We're going to look at ability and likability in an analysis exercise. So because I missed last week because of traveling and limited access to Wi-Fi. So week 10, it's happening this Friday, same time. We're going to be looking at and taking confidence to the next stage or next step on that ladder, where we can look at how we can break the comfort zone. How do we really, I'm not talking about stepping out and push you guys just a step. This is revolution mindset. How do we smash our comfort zone and really start to flow and start to build confidence in our lives? So that's what we're going to cover on Friday. If you want to join this, you type in hub.coachingminds to any of that. And my Wi-Fi is going a little bit crazy. Hey, Facebook user, thank you so much for being here. True, thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. I really appreciate you being here. So any questions on any of that? So if there's no questions, I'm looking forward to you bringing them into the practical workshop, and we can take this a little bit further and have a discussion. If you can't make it now in the practical workshop, don't there is the replays, and if I don't, I'll see you next week. Thank you.